been a real complicated profession. Hard to trust when you don't ever know people's intentions. Keep it independent. When they try to stop you, say, nah, homie, this is the way. Hey, yeah, so legit. OG, call me Boba Fett. You a little Padawan kid, taking notes and sit. I hold my head up high, just repping for these comic nerds, cosplayers, gamer kids, movie nuts, what a world. Yeah, just used to think we don't exist, right? And now it's cool to like the things we always did, right? I would be mad, but if I think about it twice, I'm just happy that we're getting all this dope content. So I just keep it cool, honey, bunny, deadly like a Mace Windu. When I'm playing in Desert Rick, the only time I play by rules. In a different lane, I've been doing my thing, but just like Rocket, y'all been confusing me for Rabbit. Stop it.
Rabbit is correct and clearly the smartest among you.
I roll in solo, I'm stealing the show, that's Donald Glover. I pull the crossbow like Chewie and Usher won't recover. The bounty hunter in the game with these raps. I just get the puck, check the fob, take them out, secure the bag. Yeah, midichlorians course through the veins. I don't know what that means, they sure keep it vague. Wanna stop me, it's obvious you're insane. If you thinking that you ever gon' hit me with stormtrooper aim. Yeah, they calling me Death Star, I'm about to blow up. I may be cute, but I'm also deadly, that's Baby Yoda. I'm in the booth, give me time to reshoot. Now I'ma show you why they're scared of me like Vader at the end of Rogue One. Hey, there ain't a beat I think I couldn't rip through. It's like I powered this microphone up with kyber crystals. Firing missiles out the Falcon in this battle, and I'm about to take control of this universe. Call me Jon Favreau. Yeah, loving the light, but I'm really been feeling the dark entice me. I might go psycho, Kylo Palpatine, Dark Maul and Snoke. I'm grabbing the mic and thinking he got the skill. Step up and try me, I don't gotta be a fucking Jedi to force a show. Yeah, I think I found the droids you're looking for. We'll be at Comic-Con with all my people getting geeks. I'm like the Kevin Smith of rap, getting paid to tour. Talk about the shit I love and do it independently. So love the anime, Marvel, your favorite shows in DC. Anything to make you feel an escape from the stress. Do your thing, don't be afraid to be yourself. Believe me, they can never hurt you with the best star armor fit. Yeah, I've been paying all these dues. Amateurs, you couldn't last a day up in my shoes. Still there's people who've been praying that I lose, but like Mando's helmet, I will not be removed, no. I'm going Cara Dune, locked and loaded. Training like I'm Luke, always stay devoted, yeah. Waiting for the Mandalorian Season 2 to drop. Until then, I've spoken.
This is the way.
I have spoken.
This is the way.
Hi, and welcome to Movies That Inspired the Pop. My name is Patrick, and today we're going to actually talk about the scene that inspired the Star Wars Funko Pop Padmé Amidala number 525 from the Power of the Galaxy series, which was an Amazon exclusive. And there's no other person that I can have on this show for this episode, none other than probably one of the biggest Padmé campaigners, especially when it comes to Funko Pops, than my good friend Andrea from the Paawan Chronicles.
Oh, I'm in the show. Everyone can see me now. I saw the pop-up, but I didn't see me on the screen, so I was like, am I on? Hey, Patrick and everyone. Thank you so much for the intro. I love being identified as like the go-to Padmé fan. I do appreciate it. I do feel like she doesn't get enough appreciation, especially from Funko. And just in general, I feel like she doesn't get as well. She's starting to get more merchandise now. But
yes,
yeah, such a great character, but underappreciated.
I agree. And like, I know we've gone and we've had a couple of times where I've been on your streams, especially when you did, excuse me, the Padmé concepts.
Yes.
I absolutely love that concept and idea and you working with the concept artist. But what I thought was really great about that too, was because you had so many ideas, you and the concept artist, that we would all love to have in the Funko, come to realization. And it's just really great that you really thought about them. And quite honestly, it seems simple. When you had the show, you had outfit after outfit, pose, and different sculpts from, all through that prequel trilogy. So I was just really amazed. And I think a lot of other people would like to see, more attention to that. I think at this point, we have pretty much all the Leias we need, but we really don't have that many Padmés, right? So
Yeah.
I'd really love to see some more. And I know you would.
Yeah, I would love to see more Padme Pops. And one of the main reasons I started the Padme Pops concept series is because sometimes we just want the satisfaction of seeing it. Maybe that's why NFTs are getting even more popular. Like they're not real, it's just digital art, but there's something satisfying about like, okay, yes, they at least made the art. It exists in some form. And it's unlikely that we'll ever get all of the Padme Pops. So we're actually almost done with the third wave, which is going to be Revenge of the Padme Pops. So, as you recall, but your audience might not know, but we did the first wave, the Phantom Padme Pops, and the second wave, we did Attack of the Padme Pops, and then we have Revenge of the Padme Pops coming up. I think in January. We're like nearly done, but I kind of want to get out of that like busy holiday season, and
Got
then
it.
do the third and maybe final. There might be a bonus Padme Pops live stream, but it could be the last one in
Ooh, all
January.
right.
But I just wanted to see the pops in some form just for the satisfaction of having seen them. And I have an amazing artist that works out of South America. I want to say Peru, but it's been like a super long time since like our initial introduction. I think we've been working together for like over a year now. Just because it takes a long time to get all those concepts together and schedule the streams and everything. But he's awesome, super
Oh,
great to
they're
work with.
phenomenal. They're phenomenal. And who is the artist so that the audience here can look them up?
So I primarily work with Metachistes on Instagram. That's how you can find him is Metachistes. But if you go to my Padme Pops live stream, I have his stuff, and he has a YouTube channel as well, but is not as active as his Instagram. But he has his Instagram account linked in the description of those live streams. And then I also worked with, oh man, I'm gonna forget his name, but he did two for me. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna forget his name. I see you liking his posts a lot, so you probably know who
J
I'm talking
Riz?
about.
Is it
Yeah,
J Riz?
J something.
J Riz Designs?
No. Ugh, I'd have to find him in our Instagram messages, but he worked with me for the second wave on two of them. So he did the wedding, the secret ceremony movie moment, and then
Oh,
he also did Apartment Padme, where she's got like the weird like cone head thing.
yes.
He did
Yep.
that one.
Okay.
So I did work with him on those two, but I primarily work with Metachistas, who's
And for
awesome.
those that don't know what we're actually having a full on conversation about, we're going to have to put those links. I'm going to include those links to those videos down below in this description as well. Because if you haven't seen those concepts and you're a Funko Pop or even a Padme Star Wars Funko Pop fan, you definitely want to check them out because you don't want to miss those. So, but
Yeah, and I remember the first one, I didn't tell you guys there would be concepts. I told you guys it was just gonna be a live stream for all of us to rant
yes.
about how few Padme Pops there are, which is why it's probably a very confusing first live stream to get into because it's like, "Wait, what? I thought there were gonna be concepts." But I do unveil the surprise, like, a few minutes into the stream, like, "Guess what, you guys? We actually have actual concept that I commissioned, and we're gonna look at it right now."
Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. Both sets are to die for. So it was a great stream. The concepts are on point. So loved it.
And his get better every time. What's funny is he hadn't worked on any Padme concepts prior to me reaching out to him because he's like he likes Star Wars, but he's not a huge Star Wars fan. He does a lot of like Disney and like other fandoms, but he hadn't done a lot of Star Wars, which is great because it was like
Wow. Because
fresh art.
yeah, I was gonna say they flexed their muscle because they were pretty on point.
And they
So
get better every time. He's like always developing his like 3D molding skills. So I think this next wave will be the best one yet. So I'm excited for that.
ooh, best one yet. Can't
Yeah.
wait. So I wanted to ask you, what is it about the character of Padme Amidala that makes you such a passionate fan of this character?
I think it's a few things. I think it's the underappreciated aspect of it. Grogu, for example, is I feel an overemphasized, overappreciated character. We see his face everywhere. In some ways, Disney's kind of making him the face of the company now, like Grogu everything.
Yeah.
Well, first it was Baby Yoda, and then we finally knew his name, and it was Grogu everything. And I feel like Padme just never got the appreciation or attention that she deserved. So that's part of it. I just want to bring attention to a character that I feel like just hasn't gotten the love she deserves. And then the other part of it, I feel like she doesn't get the credit she deserves for like saving the galaxy. Like we're gonna, for the sake of this conversation, we're gonna pretend the sequels don't exist. But when it comes to Darth Vader returning to the light, the fact that the best part of Padme was in Luke Skywalker and her faith in Anakin and the fact that there's good in him like lives on in Luke, who's her son, and people forget that all the time. Like people don't think about
Yeah.
the connection between Padme and Luke. And like, sure, she didn't raise him, but he has her DNA and he has like some of her best qualities. I saw this video the other day that I thought was really interesting that talks about how Leia is a lot like her dad and like just super out there, super like risk averse, like just very bold. And then Luke has the best qualities of his mom, and he's like, he's hopeful and gentle, and like
That,
he's got that
that's a
kind of.
really interesting take. I would have never thought like that. Yeah, but you're
Yeah,
kind of thinking that you're right.
I gotta send you guys that. If it ever comes across my feed again, I'll forward it to the group chat. I thought it was a really interesting reel.
Oh, I do. I find that just an interesting concept. I would have never thought, like, if you kind of, yeah, because Leia's a little more brash, takes risks, much like
Mhm.
Anakin, right? And
Mhm.
then, like you said, Luke is more sweet and gentle, and
Yeah.
he's hopeful, but he's a little crestfallen because he sees the world around him at what it really is, much like his
Mm.
mother, trying
Yeah.
to, keep the Senate alive and just watching all that democracy crumble, So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
really, really cool idea. Never thought of that.
Yeah, but he believes in the good in people just like Padme, and he wants the ultimate good. The video that I saw did a much better job of explaining it, so I will forward that to you once
Oh,
I
definitely,
see
definitely. So let's take a look at some of the comments we got here. We got Christopher from Serious
Christopher.
Star Wars is here. Hey, let's go.
Oh, Christopher thought it'd be cool if I wear the headdress.
Yeah,
I'm a
they
little
all thought you might have come in cosplay. I was
oh
like, dude, if
gosh.
she does, that would be dope.
Oh no, I'm a little sick, like I was telling you before. So it probably like even now my face is like sweaty. I've got a little bit of a cold going on, but I did bring it. So there she
Nice.
is.
That is so awesome.
So
Christopher says we need more Padme pops.
yes,
I think
hashtag
everyone here
justice
agrees
for
with that.
Padme. Yes. Yep. And I also brought my Padme
That sounds
Funkos.
amazing. Thank you, Christopher.
Hey,
Hello
Eric.
there. Eric from Sire Speed is here with us. I love the hat, Patrick. Yeah, the 40th anniversary. ESB, man. ESB. Hey, Eric, Christopher to Eric over at Sire Speed. Hey, Chris, Andrea, and Patrick from Eric. What's going on? What is going on? Thank you guys for joining us. Andrea,
Oh no.
where's all your family cousin? They should have been ready
No.
to wear it.
No, I called off of work today and everything because I had, like, a sinus headache, and then I canceled the workout I had told you I was gonna have just before this, and
Yeah, see, I was
been
worried that you if you're running late or anything, you'd be like just coming from the gym. Give me another minute.
no, like, my neck sweaty. No, I had to cancel because I woke up and I was like, "Ooh, I'm sick, aren't I?" But I did get some episodes of Clone Wars in, so I've been doing my homework.
There you go. There you go. Tony, anyone watching, she's catching up. She's catching up.
Time spent wisely.
Eric says 100% agree.
Oh,
Those concepts are so amazing. Yeah, Eric, they were.
thank you.
They really were.
Yes,
David,
JB. Yeah, J Bivart, yeah. Thank you.
oh, Will's here from Padawan Pops. Hey, Patrick, Andrea. Hello.
Hey, Will.
Hey, Will. Hey, Will from Eric over at Sire Speed. Hey, Eric from Will over at Padawan Pops. Robbie One Kenobi's in the house. Hey, Patrick. Hey, Robbie.
Hey.
Amazing, Andrea, how you put that costume together. Yeah, both
Thanks.
Eric and you have some really good cosplay skills. I am not that good.
It was my first attempt. I honestly couldn't have done it without my mom. I couldn't have done it with my mom, and my mom couldn't have done it without me because we both kind of had like really good ideas of how to get it to come together. Like she was like, "Let's use this ski mask." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine, but we have to cut it up." And they're like, "Well, how do we get it to stay?" And I was like, "Let's just use like a bra cup, and that'll be like the very top." We both put our heads together, and it worked out,
Oh,
thankfully.
it came out awesome. Came out
Thanks.
awesome. Really.
It was done at the super last minute. Like the day of, I was gluing the earpieces on.
I'm still building my 501st outfit. I've got the jumpsuit, and I got to get the boots and the gloves and a belt.
Nice. It's coming together.
Yeah, I gotta. It's coming. My friend wants me to get my helmet. I'm not going to do the helmet just yet because I just want to have fun doing my first one. Then had the helmet and then the chest plate. And what's nice is I'm doing mine so it's modular, so I can like
Oh,
start out
nice.
on the cheap and then add on as I come a little more flush with cash.
Nice, like The Mandalorian season 1.
Exactly. Get a little more Beskar, and
Yeah,
let me
exactly.
know what we can do. So I wanted to talk, kind of get into talking about the actual pop here. And so let's pull that up on here.
Oh, yeah, and I brought mine just in case we needed it.
I brought mine too. I have mine, but you know what I did?
Oh, nice. I still
I
need
brought
to
her in a
get one
little
of
repulsor,
those. Oh my
which is
gosh.
really cool. I got this printed from my buddy Ian Butler over in England. So he does some really great 3D printing. So I was
So
very pumped to get that.
cool. I need to
But
get
yeah,
one still.
this pop, 525. It was an Amazon exclusive, which I thought was kind of interesting how Amazon had this wave, and it basically focused on all the female heroes in the Star Wars saga.
Yeah.
If you're
And I
from
thought there were gonna be more. I thought they were gonna keep going.
I was honest, they could keep going. They could do a second wave. They really could.
And they should. They really should. There's so many more characters.
There are. And I think even the characters they got really great poses and sculpts from these. I mean,
Mhm.
this is just a box, but when you see this pop just on its own, I mean, it is really a fantastic looking
Yeah.
Funko Pop.
So
I mean, the
pretty.
detail they got on her. And one of the things that I didn't notice, Andre, until I was photographing her, after I photographed it, I thought, or I can't remember if it was when I was doing it or it was in post production. I almost photoshopped or thought maybe that was dirt, but it's
Oh, no.
her little mole. I was
That's
like,
her mole.
exactly. But it was that tiny detail. You don't see that little tiniest paint drop detail in other
Yeah.
pops.
I
So,
think her other one, oh, no, they didn't put it on her other one. Oh my gosh. Maybe
right?
that's why you got confused because the other one doesn't have the mole.
I didn't know, and I was like, "Is that dirt?" No, and it's spot on accurate too. So I was like, "Wow,
Yeah.
that's really cool." It's when you're a huge Star Wars fan and you're a collector of the Funko, I think that's kind of one of those little things that puts it over the top, right?
Yeah, now we gotta paint a mole on the other one. You need another custom.
So let me ask you, while we're looking at the pop here, what got you into collecting Star Wars Funko Pop, Andrea?
So, I have 2 brothers, that both got into Funko collecting way before I did. They didn't just collect Star Wars, they had, like, some Dragon Ball Z, some Marvel. I'm trying to think what else they had. What else did they have? Oh, Avatar: The Last Airbender. They had, like, all these, like, a lot of different, franchises, and I always thought they were cool, but I was like, "Yeah, guys, this is getting a little excessive, you, like, have too many," and then I started getting a few, like, when The Force Awakens came out, I got the original Rey,
Mm-hmm.
Scavenger Rey, and I got, like, BB-8, and then I got, like, a Rapunzel from Tangled, and I don't know, it's so much fun when they finally arrive in the mail, and then quarantine came around, and I was super bored like everybody else. So I
Right?
got way more into collectibles during quarantine. Like, I went into quarantine with very few collectibles and left quarantine with, like, all of this. So that was my new hobby for quarantine. And then we had got the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which got me into YouTube. And then I was really growing into the Loungefly community, not just for Star Wars, but also for Disney. And so all of those things just kind of snowballed into one, and I got into Funko.
Oh, that's really cool. It's funny that you mentioned COVID because actually it was during COVID that I started really concepting what I was gonna my channel. And I think during COVID we got hit with a snowstorm. So the first photos I ever actually kind of did of my Star Wars Funko Pops at all were just in a snowstorm. I went out, threw them on a rooftop of my garage because I could literally walk up to it in my backyard. And there's so much snow going from that. And I had all my trees recovered. So it made for great backdrops and stuff. So I was like, I'll just put them up there and start shooting away. And yeah, it was during COVID that I too kind of built my collection up more. Now I started my collection earlier. But what it was is I was the guy in the office, didn't have any tchotchke stuff. And so
Mhm.
I started, my mom was like, well, what would you want for your birthday or Christmas? And I think I said, oh, the Smuggler's Bounty, because I had bought a few Rogue One pops and I really like those. I just thought they were so cool.
Yeah, the Rogue
Um,
One series is really cool.
yeah, that's the ones that got me hooked was the Rogue One series. Because before that,
Mhm.
I didn't pay any mind, so I was like, eh. But that I don't know what it was. I don't know, it was the muted colors, the movie, like the hype of it. So I got really pumped, and then Smuggler's Bounty, and that's how I got into it. I just got kind of like once Smuggler's Bounty came, I couldn't get enough of them. I was like, I can't wait for the next box. And then
Yeah.
when they stopped, I was like, what? Because then I got really into collecting them, and I would find, the ones that we could find in the wild, like at our box lunch and Toys R Us and FYEs and everywhere else you can get Funko. So when I could get like these really unique ones, that was like awesome. And since that's gone away, it's kind of been disappointing. Sometimes like when
Yeah.
that Ahsoka the White came out, I didn't know that was even getting released. It just dropped and it was sold out for months. I think we were all panicking in our group trying to get one.
Mhm.
It was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, I would come back in stock for, like, a minute and then be sold out, and we'd be like, "Did you get it?" And so, you almost, like, need a little bit of that, like, adrenaline and a little bit of that stress and collectibles to keep it fun. I feel like Funko's taken a lot of, like, the game aspect out of collecting Star Wars, but hopefully they can bring that back.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Let's see some more comments. Amazing. But we can pass that one. Dude, that's so dope. From Robbie. Cool custom Patrick. From Eric. Will from Padawan Pops. Love this
A
pop.
good one,
It
yeah.
is a good one. It really
I'm a
is.
little worried it's not doing so well in terms of sales because it is so, like, inexpensive right now, so everyone that's watching this, you gotta go and order, like, 5 of these so that they sell out, and they're like, "We should make more."
Correct. Because this is it's a great character. We want to see more. What
Mhm.
was the hashtag there, Andrea?
Hashtag more Padmé Pops, or was it hashtag justice for
Justice for
Padmé
Padme.
Pops?
Justice
Yeah,
for Padme.
yeah,
If we don't sell out of those on Amazon, we'll riot.
yes.
Robbie One Kenobi. I would love a Duchess Satine pop.
That would be so
Right?
cool.
And I think both you and Lex, Jedi Lex, just did the little. They're not
Oh, the
keychains,
back clip.
bag clips,
Yeah,
and you
I
just
got
got a Satine on one of you. I loved it. There it is.
so cool. Even as a back clip, she's just so awesome.
But like, okay, we're concepting as a bag clip. How awesome would that be as a Funko? Like all
Yeah,
this going
so
on, right?
cool.
Could you imagine
Mhm.
the acrylic and the shimmer and it would be dope. It would be
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the reasons Funko isn't making more Padme is because a lot of her headdresses and her hairstyles are really complicated. So those would probably be really expensive molds for them to prototype and then to like mass produce and like mass paint. So I think that's one of the reasons they're not doing
awesome.
it more.
No, I mean these newer ones are getting crazy with all the acrylic they're
Yeah,
using. They're coming up, out of like especially the non-Star
I
Wars one.
know. The
There's a lot
anime
more.
ones, they're really doubling down on like all of their anime pops right now. And it's like, ugh, guys, what about Star Wars? What about the
Yeah.
prequels? Come back.
Christopher is in the chat saying, "Hey, Will and Rob."
Yeah.
Eric, I know Duchess Satine, right?
Yeah,
We
hopefully.
agree on that. Hey, Chris from Robbie, One Kenobi. I think we'll get a Satine pop with all those Clone Wars pops coming out, Christopher says. Yeah,
I
you
hope
might be
so.
right. I'd like to
Yeah.
see that. I mean, and Asajj Ventures, come on. Like, what's interesting is one of the theories that I had is because when they did the Red Saber series, it said volume 1. So
Mm,
please, if you're going to release her, do that, Red Saber series 2, come up with a different theme than the lava and include her. That would be awesome.
mm.
So, Eric, my first pop was Cara Dune. Ah, interesting. I just recently picked up a Cara Dune, because I want that one and I want the one with the heavy blaster that she has. Really,
Yeah, I think that's the one I have, but she's really cool because of the metallic green paint on
yeah.
her.
I,
It's
I
really
love her
cool.
little tattoo,
And the tattoo, yeah.
Phoenix. I love that little detail. Well, hey, Christopher. And there are so many Clone War characters we should get. I'm hoping we can get more next year. Yeah, I agree, Robbie One. I
Yeah,
definitely.
hopefully.
Well, we've gotten through all the comments in the chat and caught up finally. Do you want to take a look at the scene?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do that.
the Jedi Rebellion has been foiled.
What's happened?
The Chancellor's been elaborating on a plot by the Jedi to overthrow the Senate.
And the remaining Jedi will be hunted down and defeated. The attempt on my life has left me scarred and deformed. But I assure you, my resolve has never been stronger. In order to ensure the security and continuing stability,
I say that to the kids sometimes when I'm upset. Just like that.
It's a good one.
Galactic Empire for a safe and secure society.
So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause.
Oh,
So good.
so good. So good.
So epic.
I love that. It is like, I mean, bring her right back in. Love it.
Yeah. Oh, so cool. We need Bale and we need Captain Panaka. We need like the whole crew on the pod.
Yes. I mean, that scene, I know some Star Wars fans get upset about the whole Star Wars and the prequels dealt with, but the politics is a huge part of it. And I don't know if you ever watched that HBO series, The Wire, but if you want to see how a show can be broken down or a story can be broken down, in The Wire, you kind of start with the kids, dealing drugs and what was going on in Baltimore. Then the next season, you deal with the schools. Next season, you deal with the police. And it's the politicians. And then it's like, the dock workers that really had nothing to do with it. And at the same time, they start now bringing back the young kids that they looked up to the older kids, how they've now risen to the ranks. And so you got the story from such a great perspective because you got all the perspectives. And I thought the one thing the prequels really nailed was kind of bringing us into the politics of it all. And and at the time, it was a really great, I don't know, I thought it was kind of interesting to see at that time what was going on currently in our politics. It kind of almost mirrored at one point. It was kind of interesting.
Well, George Lucas did draw a lot of inspiration from political climates now and then historically and how a lot of wars played out. Super interesting scene. One of my favorite things about the prequels is we actually get to see the Galactic Senate as opposed to the original trilogy. It's just like full-fledged empire. It's Palpatine and Vader. And then we kind of have all these like cowering senators with like no real power. They're just kind of like figureheads with like no real say in politics because, it's an empire. And it was really cool to see what was happening in the Senate in the moment that Palpatine rose to power. And it's the first time we get the empire introduced as an empire. It's like the first galactic empire. It's not a Senate anymore. It's the death of the Senate,
Yeah.
Which actually, the Senate had been dying a slow death for a long time now, but this was kind of the unveiling of that. So super cool scene.
I loved it. And you really get like when he's sitting there, you get like that kind of, I'm in a Roman Colosseum kind of gladiator kind of crowd cheering moment. And it was beautifully cut to Padme, kind of like her concern. And then saying, that's how liberty dies.
Yeah.
The thunderous applause. Well, that's a good cat. I love that. Like those are the scenes that you might not pick up when you're a young kid, but as you got older, you're just like, oh, so well done. It was well done. I loved it.
Yeah. Well, we kind of got a hint from Padme earlier in the movie when she's asking like Anakin, like, what if the Senate's like not what we thought it was and we're like fighting on the wrong side? And I think she's more in tune with what's actually going on because she has this relationship with Anakin and she's kind of watching his descent into the dark side. And so she's kind of like, wait a minute, what if this whole ship is kind of going downhill? And but nobody else sees it. Everyone else thinks it's great. Our side is finally winning. We can finally take the separatists down once and for all. So yeah, no one else sees it, but she's got more of like an inside look at what it's done to Anakin and how it's destroyed slowly destroyed him over time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I had some questions for you, Andrea.
I love
So,
questions.
so since we just watched that scene, this is something I wanted to get from you. We just watched the scene, right? What is the emotion that you feel when you see it? And so it's like a kind of a multi question. All right, so let me start over. What is the emotion that you feel when you see it? Do you think about where you were when you first saw Revenge of the Sith, or or was it going on, or what was going on at the moment in the movie?
Mm. So for me, the moment, oh my gosh, I might answer this backwards. So I might go backwards in your question, but the moment from the movie I remember the most is definitely the Order 66 scene where we see just the massive clones and kind of the wave of Order 66 is starting. Or if you've played Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, it's like Order 67 for a minute and everyone starts dancing. And then Palpatine's like, no, 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 Order 66. That part's so funny. I just played that part in Lego Skywalker Saga. But that's the part I remember most. And I was obsessed with Revenge of the Kid as a third grader. I was in third grade right around the movie came to DVD. And I did see it in theaters, but what I remember most from seeing it in theaters is the factory scene on Geonosis. For
Okay.
some reason, in my like 8-year-old brain, that factory scene stuck out the most in theaters. But then when it came out to DVD, I would like rewatch it and rewatch it for that like Order 66 scene. It's just like the tide turning. It's just like such a momentous thing. Like this is what leads to the other movies. And truth be told, I would not care about the original trilogy at all had it not been for the prequel trilogy becoming a thing. And I know a lot of OG trilogy people that were around when those movies first came out and were fans of the OG trilogy. They're always, saying bad things about the prequels, like how it ruined Star Wars. I honestly wouldn't care about Star Wars if it wasn't for the prequels, if it wasn't for Hayden Christensen, if it wasn't for Padme, Natalie Portman playing Padme. Like, I just wouldn't care about it. This channel would not exist.
But that plays right into what Lucas says, right? There's a different generation,
Yeah.
so I know when I first saw the prequels, people were like, "What you think?" So I was like, "Well, I don't know." I look at it as I went 30 years without anything but the 3 movies, so I was excited to get more.
Yeah.
Was there parts I didn't like? Yes, like I openly said, I wasn't a big fan of Jar Jar, but I loved what Ahmed Best did. I loved the technology behind, like I love all that stuff. But I also realized that he was there, to be that comedic person, and it was going to be attractive to the kids. And again, it's
Mhm.
for that young generation. I got that. I just felt like as an adult, not my favorite. I'll kind of bypass watching those scenes. But I
Mhm.
thought the prequels, for the most part, were pretty good. Like especially Revenge. Like that was great.
Mhm.
I love seeing
So good.
young Annie, the Qui-Gon and that story, and the coming up and Darth Maul. I just was horrified that we got this awesome character and is killed off right then and there. I was like, in the first one, I was like, what?
Mhm.
Because we know he comes
Yeah,
back later.
somehow Maul returned.
Yes. But
Yeah.
it was just I don't understand why there is so much hatred for something that fans like myself that saw it in 77 in the theater and grew up loving it, how you could totally hate on that, because there's so much in that in the prequels to love. And I honestly think as time has gone and people have gone back and it has grown to have more love for it. As weird as that sounds, I think it took having to have time for that movie to kind of rise to.
Yeah, for people to appreciate it, and for the generation that grew up on the prequels to grow up, and now, people are buying the merch, we weren't buying collectibles as kids, so now we have, like, buying power. But yeah,
Yeah,
I agree, and in a way, I get it because when you love something so much, you kind of want it to stay the same, and you expect it to stay the same. So when George Lucas and the team took such a different approach with, like, the CGI, like, there's less practical effects, the writing's really different. A lot of people, had a lot of negative things to say about the writing. But I went in to see it without the expectations that it would be exactly like the original. so
yeah,
so I could appreciate it for what it was, but I do understand kind of the expectations people had going into it.
yeah. See, I felt that, because we got Tatooine, which had that same look and feel, had no problem with that. But I felt like when you're on was it Theed and Padme Amidala's planet, Naboo, and all that. When you're there and you're seeing their starfighter, everything was so shiny and chromy and beautiful,
Mhm.
right? So I think the first time watching it, I was just soaking everything in. Second time watching it was just like probably an hour late, probably less than an hour later. After getting out the one, I went right back in line to see it again. I think I saw it as, why is this so clean? And then as I watched it, I realized, oh, well, this is the prequel. Of course, because people were prosperous
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
we were at peace and,
Yeah.
these are all those things. And then when you don't have that and you're oppressed, well, yeah, that makes sense. That's the film I saw. Like, when I
Yeah.
was a kid, I already saw what oppression is, and is that because that's where they were when I was a kid and saw it. So this is what happened. This is what happens when
It
you.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because Empire has to leech off of all of the prosperous planets to stay in power, and like the gardening planets, they like take over their agriculture. The mining planets, they take over their mining. That's why I do think shows like Andor are so interesting because we get to see kind of, the Empire and how they just suck the life out of every planet they occupy.
Yeah. Are you a fan of Andor at all?
I do like Andor, yeah.
Okay, because I do like it, and
I do too.
I know it's not Tony's favorite. I know
Yeah.
a lot of people, a lot of
Really? I thought it was his most favorite.
you know what? You might be right. You
That's
might
what
be right.
people say.
I think he put his top three, and that was 1, 2, and 3. I don't know.
Yes.
We'll have to
Yeah,
watch that video again.
I think so.
But no, I really loved Andor. I've always said there's so many great builds, like because it did have a very slow burn, but when it popped, I mean, it hit hard. Like the Aldani heist, fire. The escape from the prison one way out, fire. Luthen's speech about sacrifice, absolutely best. It was a soliloquy. It was Shakespeare in Star Wars. It was awesome, awesome.
Mhm.
The
Yeah, for me, it was Marva and
I was gonna
B2.
say that's the finale, Marva's death.
Yeah.
Even the
Mhm.
music, when they incorporated her funeral procession in the whole theme of the show, I loved it. I thought that was well
I
done.
did too. I liked the plot twist, like, in the middle with, like, the whole, like, kinda heist team kinda,
Yeah,
like, dying, and then it's like, "Well, what do you do now?" And it's kind of interesting to see, Cassian Andor's background prior to Rogue One, so I did like it.
yeah. I don't know what they're gonna do. Was it Cyril, whatever the
Cyril?
yeah. Honestly, if they cut his whole part out, we wouldn't really be missing much. I don't.
I liked Cyril, I don't know.
I just see that's where I think they lose us. I think
Oh.
him in Andor is like the doctor, in the Mandalorian. When we got
Mm.
the doctor episode, I mean, it just like fell flat right in the middle, and I was like, come on, like I honestly don't care about his relationship with his mother, you know,
Oh.
none at all. And as a parent, I'm like, I can have empathy, but I'm like,
Mhm.
this, I don't care about that, and I hope there's a payoff, and I would hope that when they're doing this, there's a payoff for seeing all that because to me, I'm not getting it with him. So I don't know.
I really like a sympathetic villain, so I do really like Cyril, like, someone that's not all bad, like, you can kind of understand where his need to prove himself comes from, so I liked how that he's, like, dynamic like that.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. Let's catch up with the chat. It was blowing up here as we were chatting. I wish I had bought the Cara Dune Puffs when they were coming out. I got one in the wild for 35. Oof.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not expensive.
Yeah. I think I paid 38 for mine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I paid around 30 as well.
Let's go. It's our speed. Great scene. I agree, Eric. It is a
So
killer scene.
good, yeah.
For another one. Where is your pale Funko Pop? Where?
Yeah, I know. Justice for
Yep.
Bale.
Justice for Bale. Gotta go fast. Hi, hey, how's it going?
Hi.
LeBron Fett, Sire Speed. Hello, everybody. Hello, LeBron. Hey, LeBron. George Lucas is a genius. He is. He is. He had such a great story, and I mentioned it recently on, I think it was with Christopher on one of the shows. I actually went to the Brooklyn Museum of Art where they had a really cool Star Wars museum show, and it was the magic of the myth, and it was all the original stories and mythology that was gathered
Mm.
to put Star Wars on, and it was like, you know how they have all those outfits out the Comic-Con and the props.
Mhm.
Imagine going into a museum, was a special, show, and room after room after room was nothing but movie props and costumes. And then the lore behind what inspired that scene or that prop or this character. Insane. And
Oh, super cool. Yeah.
the story of Star Wars for the first 6 movies. It was
Mm.
awesome. I still have the poster. And what made me remind me of that I have the poster on the floor here. I haven't hung up yet. Andor Eye episode was epic. Yeah, it was, Eric. It was. I even liked the eye itself, the storm. It's kind of like it was like way cooler than we have in real life. The Aurora Borealis. It was like a meteor shower, like none other. It was awesome.
Mm.
Cereal.
Cereal eating cereal.
Right? Like that was boring. Cut that out. Chill eating cereal. Hey, LeBron, said Christopher, and we are caught up. We are caught up. So, the last thing I want to ask is, so when you see our little friend Padme sitting on your display, when you see her,
Mhm.
does she instantly bring you back to where you were at when you first saw it? When you look at that pop, what is the emotion you feel when you see that pop?
That's a good question, and actually just reminded me of your question before, how I felt watching that scene. So, okay, a couple things. One is, like, just in awe because it's, like, this just, like, epic scene, and thanks to CGI, we got to see all the Senate pops, and, we've got Palpatine, like, "The attempt on my life has left me scarred." It's just very cool scene, so a lot of it's just enjoying it, but then the other half of me is just very aggravated, and that's how I feel about just the whole Clone Wars, like, just the way Palpatine's, like, puppeteering both sides. It's just so frustrating because 'cause you're a little bit just like, "Open your eyes, people."
Yeah, yeah. As
You're
the
like
audience, you're like, oh my, and it's
yeah.
interesting how they led us those breadcrumbs right down. Because I don't think I would have realized he was going to be Palpatine from the get go, right? Or
Mhm.
Palpatine was going to be Sidious from the get go, but they kind of alluded to it a
Even
little.
though the actor was the same.
Yeah, um,
Yeah.
but I think if you're not recognizing the actor, right, and you're watching it, you're kind of like, okay, I'm seeing this dude. But I think to see how it was, I mean, how he got to the power he is, how he became the emperor, like how did he
Yeah.
control it? Because he was in the Senate and took it over. Like that, I thought to me was
Yeah.
really cool. It was, very much like Julius Caesar, see,
Mhm.
Tute Brutus, So I thought it was,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of those themes that are through Star Wars that I just thought was awesome, but especially in Revenge of the Sith, like it really wrapped it up for me. All those things, all it was when I was a kid was I fought with your father in the Clone Wars, and I was like,
Mhm.
what are the Clone Wars? Like, oh my god! And for the longest time, I was
Yeah.
like, what are the Clone Wars? What are the Clone Wars? So
Yeah,
then
I
you
love that Marty McFly meme where Marty McFly is like, "Well, you guys don't get it, but your kids are gonna love it."
right, yes, and I was like, what is that gonna? And then finally we got Attack of the Clones. So you saw the beginning, and we have Revenge of the Sith. We're really kind of seeing the Clone Wars is kind of over, and we're switching right.
Mhm.
So I wanted to see, and I felt kind of gypped because I was like, I really shit. I really wish I saw the Clone Wars. Like
Mhm.
Attack of the Clones should have been the Clone Wars. Like, give me more of that. Like, all right. And
Yeah.
then we got the I can't remember the artist the name, but he did Samurai Jack. We got that original version on the
Mhm.
Cartoon Network, and then we got Dave Filoni and Lucas's Clone Wars. Phenomenal. And I know you're still watching it.
I am, yeah.
have you skipped all the way to the end already?
No, I'm in season 3. I've watched a good chunk of season 3. I'm about to watch the Mortis arc next with channel members. We're just figuring out a time. That'll be really fun. I'm excited for the Mortis arc after, a lot of Mortis
So
arc themes came up in Ahsoka. So I'm like, well, now I gotta watch the Mortis arc. But the reason Clone Wars didn't appeal to me for a long time was because I know that Palpatine's behind everything, like, I don't need we can just skip to Revenge of the Sith, like, I don't need to see I thought that watching Clone Wars, I would just be, like, that feeling I get when I watch like Palpatine rise to power, and I'm like, come on, people! Like I thought I would feel that way throughout watching all of Clone Wars, but no, I'm getting into it, and I'm excited for Ahsoka's like major story arc because I do kind of know what happens with her, so I'm excited to see it play out.
Oh. See, I really liked the Clone Wars filling in all those gaps because I didn't like. I want to see Clone Wars, and I didn't even think really or care if Palpatine was in it as much. Like a cameo here and there, because when he does pop off and there or Rebels and any of the animated series, he can almost steal the show. Right? He's kind of like that Vader-esque kind of character. Once he enters the room, all bets are off. Like everyone's eyes focused.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
he wanted that chaos. He wanted crime to be rampant because he wanted to keep the Jedi so busy that they didn't see what he was doing and they couldn't like sense him in the Force. Like they were just so preoccupied with containing this war and like fighting for what they thought was the right side. And it is really interesting too to see them play chess with like all of the different planets. And it's like, okay, this planet's kind of going to make a deal with the separatists for this reason, or the Trade Federation's gone out to this planet and are kind of luring these people in. So you see like, you know, the different Jedi missions to try to prevent all of these separatist alliances. And it is really interesting. So I have enjoyed it.
And what's interesting, you know how Lucas says, you know, it's kind of those rhythmic beats that kind of repeat themselves. Well, we're seeing that now, even in The Mandalorian, right? Which is the buildup to how the First Order comes back to power. You know, and in Andor, we kind of get a little more of that grist too, because it reminds me of Rogue One, because he's, you know, he's talking about there's so many things that I've done, you know, I've done it all for the rebellion, and he was really upset. And you saw the first scene, he shoots someone cold-blooded in the back, you know, and so in Andor, you kind of see what gets him to that point, right? We get to see what drives him to that. But I also think it's interesting, just as much as Palpatine's manipulated the Senate, you have people like Luthen and Mon Mothma and Saw Gerrera, who are all people I also met in the Clone Wars and prequels, that give us a little more of that shades of, you know, is it a rebellion? Is it terrorism? Because if you look at Saw Gerrera and how Mon Mothma, they're like the Irish Republican Army. They're like the terrorist group of the rebellion, right? Like they almost don't want them. And then you had the partisans as another faction of that, which is kind of what they end up becoming. And then you have, even in Andor, there's that other faction, and Luthen's trying to work with them. And he knows that stirring up the people is what's going to cause it to blow up and, you know, fight the Empire. But I think what's interesting, it's like watching a diamond get made when you're taking that coal and slowly pressing it, and that what's explodes. And that what's, I think, gets at the heart of the story of Star Wars and the fans and the people, because I think we could feel that. Like we watch it, we can empathize. We all work hard and we know what it is to, you know, work hard, and then they constantly get browbeaten. Yeah, people are going to eventually stand up to it. But how much do people take? And we see that really well executed in Star Wars. And I think Andor is interesting, like how you mentioned how we see Palpatine. So we're seeing how the Imperials, you know, started and kind of flourished, and you know, really were the bad seed behind it all. But we're also seeing there are people that mean well. And that, I think Luthen's speech gets to that point. I have to use the weapons of my enemies to defeat them. You know, he's really selling his soul just to start the rebellion. So it's almost interesting that both sides are manipulating the mass public.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I think that's kind of neat. And I those are the things that I feel that people do miss when they see Andor, because they see Cyril eating cereal, you know. So,
I don't have a problem with Cyril eating cereal. I thought it
so
was
the other piece is I think people will be more engaged, you know. And I think when we get to this next season, from what I've heard, rumor mills and, you know, Vanity Fair and everything, it was going to be done in like every 4 episodes jumps a number of years, so that when we in the last 4 episodes, we're going to be right leading into Rogue One. So I bet we'll be having Andor landing on that planet where he goes and shoots that guy in the back. I will probably be right there where it leaves us. I wouldn't be surprised. So
yeah. No, I agree. It's an interesting time period to see people get to that point where they're like, okay, no more. And it's interesting to see like the victims of this regime that are born into it, like FN 2187, for example, is just like kidnapped basically from his family and is made to go into the First Order, which is one of the things that makes him such a compelling character. Is like immediately he sees war and he's like, yeah, not this. I'm out of here. So it is really interesting to see that
Take
tide.
these townspeople out. Like these
Yeah.
townspeople, kill them, like execute
Mhm.
them. I think that's I thought that was a very interesting take. Like it was just very,
Yeah.
this is
It's
what you
just a
do.
shame they didn't do more with this story arc. We could get into, like we'd be here for a few more hours if we were gonna talk,
Oh yeah,
sequel. So we'll
trust me.
save that.
I hope they do Finn justice if they bring him back. They and
Yeah.
I and if I was the actor, I would absolutely, have it in writing in my contract. Like, listen, if I'm just gonna sit there and go Ray the whole movie, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
out.
just
Like,
silliness that they didn't have the same director just kind of direct the whole vision of the trilogy because the way it kind of, like, bounces back and kinda loses its shape, like, in the middle and then tries to reel it all in at the end, it didn't work out. But, they should have just had the same person oversee the whole thing.
they should.
What
Oh,
were they thinking?
I don't know. I don't know. Wolf from Padawan Pops was coming. The eye is a very awesome scene. Yes, yes, it is. I didn't know we had a professional Big Papa Palps impersonator in the house.
Don't let him kill me.
Cyrus Speed reviews. Eric, the scene where Cody shoots Obi-Wan gets me.
I know.
That is brutal.
Yeah.
Did you like my series? Gotta go fast. Yes, we did. Gotta go fast. We did like your series. Christopher and I checked that out. That was very creative. Very, very creative. So anyway, thank you for coming on today, Andrea. I had a
No
great
problem.
time. And like I said, we try to keep it short and sweet. So thank you for coming on. It was a blast talking about Star Wars Funko, Star Wars in its own. But when you're not here joining me to talk about Star Wars Funko, where can people find you?
Sure. I'm also on YouTube at the Padawan Chronicles. I do show reactions. I do a lot of collectibles. I'm going to try to slow down a little bit on the collectibles next year, just because I'm running out of space, clearly. But if I see like a cosplay Launchlight bag that I really, really like, I don't think I can say no. But I am getting pickier and pickier as my collection grows, you know? And
I
then
hear.
gotta destash, like, okay, we gotta open up some room so these things can go. So I've been refining my collection. So yeah, a lot of my content is collectible related, show related, and I've also started playing the Star Wars video games. So I started with Fallen Order with my super laggy desktop gaming. I've kind of upgraded a few things, got an Xbox, and right now I'm playing Lego The Skywalker Saga. I almost always have some kind of technical difficulties with something like the audio. We're getting it together over here.
I'm loving your new camera's beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, it's crazy. I love the focus. That was the biggest struggle I had because I used to use this webcam here, actually. This one. This
Ah,
is what I used to use to stream, and it was terrible at focusing at things close up. So I'm really enjoying this like
oh,
quick
I love
focus.
that. What do you
So
use? Sony ZV?
Yeah, so I really liked Tony's camera because it was always so crispy and the focus was always so good. So I asked him what he had, and he's helped me out a ton with the settings on it. So it's the Sony ZV-1.
Now I wonder, is Will using the same camera? Because I think both you guys,
I think he was gonna get it as
yeah,
well. Yeah.
whatever you guys are using right now, it seems a little crispy. I do like.
Yeah, and next thing I'm gonna do is copy Tony's audio setup because I use this Hypercast, but I think because it's lit up, sometimes it confuses the camera. So it'll focus on the mic and
Oh,
then it'll
because
focus
it's
on
moving,
me.
the motions.
Yeah, and it's just I think the light just attracts focus, so my camera does, like, the focus a lot, so might be updating that, getting the Shure mic that he has. But yeah, I'm on there. I'm on Instagram as well, but really, like, the bulk of my content creation is on YouTube, and we just have fun over there. It's a party. I always tell people I'm not the person that knows most about Star Wars, everything about Star Wars. I'm never gonna know the name of all the species and all the weapons and all the ships. But I started my channel just with the love of Star Wars that I've had since I was a kid. I was like, well, I could, you know, watch everything and read everything and like read every encyclopedia and then start, or I can just start down with the love that I have for Star Wars and kind of learn alongside people. Hence the Padawan Chronicles YouTube
And
name.
you've been doing great, Andrea. Like you've just got, didn't you just break over 1,000 and you know, you've got
Not
subs now?
quite. I'm at 970, so not quite that 1K, but it's been fun. I think people that aren't like super like intent on content creators knowing absolutely everything, because some people will not watch channels that know even less about Star Wars than than they do.
Yeah.
And I haven't gotten into like the comics. I just started reading Darth Plagueis, which by the way, if you're a Palpatine fan, definitely recommend Darth Plagueis. I'm only 2 chapters in, but already it's so interesting to kind of see like
I got it on
how
Audible.
nice. Yeah. Are you gonna join Tony's
I'm
book
going
club?
to. I want is it tomorrow night? Is it
Yeah,
tomorrow
it's tomorrow.
night? Yeah, I got to make sure I don't have anywhere to be with the kids to take them to one of their activities, but I really want to join. I got the Audible book with some of my free credits. So yeah, because I've been wanting it and I kind of had it for a while and just really didn't do anything. Like I just collected them. So I was like, you know what?
Mhm.
I need to make sure I get this one and download it and start listening to it. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's been really good so far. So I'm reading that, and I have videos on my channel that's like my first lightsaber, the first time I unboxed a lightsaber, my first time attempting to spin a lightsaber. I did my first cosplay with the Padme headdress. So I have just like a lot of like first time like dipping my toe into like the games and
A lot of
just like
milestones.
yeah, like just stuff that I'm trying for the first time. So a lot of my content revolves around just like
But
growing it as
are
a
you
Star Wars
having
fan.
fun? Are you having fun?
I really am.
That's
Yeah.
who
I
cares,
really am. Yeah,
right?
sometimes it's tough with like the pressure to like watch everything now. And I know like everyone's been telling me to watch Clone Wars for like a year. But for me, it's like maybe it's like the ADHD brain in me, but it's like I do things in like small bursts. Like today, for example, I saw like 7 episodes of Clone Wars, and then I went hardcore on the spinning the week that I shot that video. And that's kind of how I go about things. Like I got to do it like short little like sprints, you know?
Sure.
So I've kept coming back to Clone Wars and watching a little bit more. I watched all of Rebels, which was a huge accomplishment for me.
Well, good. I mean, the
Watching
thing
all of
is,
the
as
stuff.
long as you're having fun and you're
Yeah.
enjoying it, because if you get burned out, that's no fun. And
Mhm.
if you're sharing what you're passionate about, I think that's what makes your channel successful, Andrea, is that over at the Padawan Chronicles, you share the things you love. And amazingly, a lot of people share that same passion. So I always said, like, does someone really want to see me unbox what I just got and look at? Yeah, I guess they do. And so I started, putting videos of those together. And I find myself going, I want to look at the pop on the turntable myself. Like, what was that look?
Mhm.
And so sometimes I even reference my video to get an idea of the sculpt. And then it starts making me think, okay, is this going to go on the set? Is this getting shot today or not? Am I photographing this one? So I get you. I get you. But
Yeah.
I enjoyed your channel. I've watched you grow and you've grown exponentially. And I'm so proud of you and your channel. And it's always fun. You always have something creative. Like I love the concepts. I know they were busting some chops about the shop with me. It was more browse with me on the last
Yeah,
episode.
browse with
I
me.
didn't buy anything, but it's fun. And like I said, just have fun. I started this because I just take pictures. I'm the guy that takes photos, and for me, what got me doing this is because in my day job, like when I had contracts doing other things like photographing packaging for Hasbro, and I wanted something that wasn't work. And so
Yeah.
this became it. And then, yeah, like someone asked the other day, like, I was listening to Sir Dork had a members only chat and he was talking to another Star Wars Funko guy. And they were talking about, well, camera use. And I know he knew that I was in the audience. He was trying to watch me. So he's like, well, some guys, use the phones, this and that. I said, absolutely. I said, the best camera you have is the one you have with you, right? And
Mhm.
I challenged myself because I said, okay, could I bust out the Hasselblad? Yeah, I could bust out a $6,000 medium format camera and I could, pay for a $13,000 digital back on that and have that shooting. No, I'm not going to use that. That's big and it's work. I could bring out my 35 millimeter digital camera. I love that, and that's a lot easier. And I've really kind of made the Haas my medium format camera become a paperweight, a very expensive paperweight because of that. But I've challenged myself to use the phone because I felt if I could show people how I create this, like, just using things that you have, a phone, some lights, did I get a little fancier? Like, yeah, I bought a little extra lights. I can control my phone, but you can do it almost anything. And that was the point for me to share that passion is I want to show people you don't have to have all the big equipment to
Hmm.
do something, make it beautiful, make it look good. And so that's how I got in my shtick, much like, you just want to do something you're passionate about.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
keep it going. Keep
Thanks.
it
Yeah.
going.
I love that mentality. Like, yeah, like you thought, like, I don't have to have the fanciest equipment to start. I can just start. And like the same way I was like, I don't have to know everything about Star Wars. I can just start now. And I do think your content does inspire a lot of people. I don't remember what video of yours it was that I watched the other day, but the comment was something like, thank you so much for your tips. Like I actually applied them and like they worked out super well. So like you are inspiring a lot of people to get into photography. So that's
Well,
awesome.
thank you. I have a fun time. And it's just again something I have a passion for. And one thing I learned when I was working with Apple is um, you take your passion and you take your talents, right? And where do they align? Those are the places you want to work for or work you want to do. And so
Mm.
I put that same idea into what I want to do for a channel. I love photography. I love Star Wars. I want to make a YouTube channel. What do I do? Hey, look at that. I
Yeah.
can combine them both. So
Okay.
that's kind of how I got into it, right? And then seeing other people during COVID, like at one point I was watching guys that like live in the Polynesian and they're making like mud hut hotels with sliding boards. Like it was like my wife was like, "Are you watching the real Minecraft or something?" It's like I don't know what it was, but it was such a weird time being stuck home and not going anywhere that I was watching channels like that because it was relaxing and it was
Mhm.
sunny and it was just so weird. And then I got and it's watching some toy photographers and that kind of, you know what? It's not just because I never had everyone said I didn't have a hobby yet. It's like, well, do you photos a hobby? No. And I always said when I pick up the hand cannon, it's because I'm getting paid. I said, and I go and photograph things that I like to enjoy, and that's when I'll pull it out for that reason. And so I wanted to do something like that. Again, try to be an inspiration. I watched other people um, like Sir Dork, Matma Photos, Matma Films. He's Amusing King, I think he goes by. There's so many other great toy photographers out there, and I was like, this is really cool. And I love how they're giving little tips and I shot this action figure. There's so many good, talented people out there. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And so again, it was just for me a fun way to share and seeing how what other people are doing on their channels is just as inspiration. Like a lot of the people in the chat are all friends of ours that
Oh,
are
Will.
creators.
We'll
Will
use the same Logitech webcam.
yeah.
I feel that well. I used this, I wanna say for like a year, maybe even over a year, and just recently upgraded. Not on Andrea's level. Hey, I think who else? I think Christopher from Seriously Star Wars uses iPhone. So his stream always looks super crispy. So
Hmm. Well, Will's using it too. I've used my iPhone. I used my MacBook Pro. It depends what I'm doing.
I mean, iPhones are kind of
Um,
amazing now in
yeah,
terms of technology. So can't go wrong.
having fun is what it's all about, and you both are doing awesome on Drive. Thank you so much, Eric. Eric
Yeah.
recently broke that 1K marker, and again, another guy
Woo!
just doing what he loves.
Yeah.
That's what I say about us Star Wars creators and other content creators. If you're doing what you love, who cares? Like if they don't
Yeah.
like it, they'll go to another channel. Trust me, they're going to be bored. They stick around because they enjoy listening and having fun with us, or the
Mhm.
content we're creating. So that's the inspiration.
Yeah, and it's like you said, like, I have a daytime job, like, I have a full-time job, so I don't need a second job in YouTube, so I always try to keep YouTube fun.
You got to keep it light and fun. I agree. I
Mhm.
agree. I mean, I feel the pressure too, trying to get out. Like, oh, you got to get an image this week. This week,
Mhm.
I was going to feel pressure to get 2 images. I said, you know what? No, I did one this week. I had other
Mhm.
videos. I've got other things going on. I have Christmas presents that I'm making, all
Mhm.
sorts of stuff going on. So yeah, it's hard to fit that in and be a father and have a full-time job. Yeah. So
Well, hey, one image is pretty good.
yeah, I'm
All
like,
things
you know what?
considered.
I'm shooting the one image this week. But I started to get burned out a while back, months ago. I was shooting an image every other day. And I was like, oof. And I was just
Mm,
blowing through my just time with that. I was like, all right, I gotta stop, I gotta slow it down. And I think
yeah.
as I slowed down, I felt that I got better images because I was concentrating more behind the technique than
Mhm.
getting another image, if that makes sense.
Yeah, quality over quantity for sure.
Correct. And I felt myself a couple times where I felt like like, wasn't my best. It wasn't what it wasn't, you know. And one thing in my industry, when you do art, photography, things like that, you're only as good as your last image. So
Mm.
that's kind of how I live by. So I had to do good. I'm old and have to go to bed. See you guys. Thank you all for joining us. I know we got long in the tooth here tonight. Laugh out loud, said Eric Will. But again, thank you so much, Andrea. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it. Um,
thanks for having me.
yeah, if you guys enjoy this kind of content on my channel, Poptography, we do creative Star Wars images, like we're just talking about. We have this awesome segment here, movies that inspire the pop, where we actually talk about the Funko Pop and the scenes from the movies or series that has inspired it. And we also have our version of unboxings, which is what's in the box. So
What's in the
if
box?
what's in the box? So if you enjoy that kind of stuff, please come on back to Poptography. We love to have it. We love showing off Funko stuff. And again, thank you so much, Andrea. I had a great time tonight, and it's always a pleasure to see you. And for
Yes,
those,
that was fun.
may the force be with you. I hope everyone's having a great kind of extended life day into the holiday season as well.
Thanks, guys.